I'm sorry, man. What's the great? All of a sudden, I started playing this. I went into. I Shall Be Released, man. I'm so sorry.
I love that song. Wow,
dude, I'm so sorry.
So it's
about
one.
That.
It's all good. It's just 1, 2, 3, 2.
Yeah, I just want to hear the rhythm one more time. I just started hearing "Every Man Shall Be Replaced." And I got lost.
This is back to 2.
Just play one more time.
Yeah, all good. You're good, man. I am not staying in tune today either.
I don't know what's going on.
I think I need new strings.
I think I just put new ones on, so.
Oh.
We're gonna.
Would not be as much of a problem, but there are a lot of open strings ringing. Cool.
All right.
Try?
Yeah. 2, 3, 4.
Fun.
Yeah, that's a great groove. So, all right, show me what you're thinking about on that one.
Yeah, so basically, inspired by Dicky Betts, the late and great.
Yeah.
What I discovered was a lot of the sound that he was getting out of is we're in E major, right? And as a lot of pentatonic, players and guitar players in general, a lot of us will often think about playing the relative minor box, right? When I describe it, typically what I describe is that whatever your pointer finger is on in the classic box, that's the minor pentatonic, and whatever your pinky's on, that's the major pentatonic. So since we want to be in E major, you just put your pinky on E.
Yep.
And that's going to give us those E major pentatonic notes, and we're playing over that E major chord progression, so it's going to give us the E sounds. And so I started experimenting with that, and I kind of grew up on the Allman Brothers and always really loved them.
Oh, yeah, me too.
So good, right? And that was like some early concerts that I went to, and at that point, Derek was in the band. It was Warren, O'Teal, just what a great crew. Yeah. And Dickie had gone at that point, but still, obviously, his influence is so massive on that band. So one thing that I heard him doing was he would take that pentatonic box, and he had this little lick. And it's basically like a big thing that he did was he would play the lower note on whatever string, and then he'd play the higher note and he'd pull off back to the lower note. And then he would go one string thicker, and that would kind of be this nice little cyclical lick that he could do.
Totally. has like a bounce. It's killer.
Yeah, he has it. It's like the built-in like kind of articulation that he does, like with the kind of like swinginess. And then I discovered, oh, you can go, and you can actually transition strings by going.
Yeah.
There's the first part of the lick, and then I'm on the lower note on the G string 9th fret, and I can actually transition between the whole thing.
Yep.
And it's like so Dickie. And then the cool note that he added into that pentatonic, it's like we're stepping back towards the 7-note major scale system. He would throw that 4 in and kind of do the same thing. So that's adding the 4, which is A, on the 10th fret of the B string to that classic pentatonic box.
Yep. Yeah, it sounds great. Over every one of those changes, right?
Works,
so we
right?
have the E. What we're playing here is we're playing the E major. You were playing that, and then the F sharp minor with the E and the bass. I was moving the bass up just to keep it easier. I was playing the bass note moving up, and then we were playing the G sharp minor 3-chord with the just normal 3-chord with the E and the bass with that drone. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like a E major 7 then essentially.
And we're sort of using this as a paintbrush to just go over the whole tune. So if you notice when we were playing, we weren't going to the F sharp minor, to the G sharp minor scales. We were just staying in this world the whole time and just kind of playing some melodies. So that's a great, I mean, obviously for trying to create some solos, it's really nice to kind of live in this one world of this scale, and that forces you to create some really interesting melodies by not going to outline. Typically on these things, I would probably think to outline the chords. Right, but staying in this world is just a really nice. It gives you a little room to breathe, hopefully.
Totally.
You know? Also, you could shred if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's interesting. I experience a lot, like, you hear people talk down on the pentatonic scale, but like for me, in my experience, it's like pretty much all the time if I'm like working with a student or working on a concept or lesson or transcribing somebody, historically, like the great masters like Dickie are playing so much pentatonic.
Yep.
And the difference is that they're in the groove, they have that swing, they have that pocket, and it's like, it's not the scale's fault, it's that, you know,
right.
If you aren't decorating it and making it sound dope, it won't sound awesome.
Great. Yeah, that's how this works. And it's also just really nice. We were just kind of doing this on the fly, and I just noticed as I was playing that I was like, wow, there's so much more to explore. Like I kept hearing things going off. We had the time. I could just sort of try to push off into this new realm of a new direction, even with the limitations of just these notes. It's actually almost like I think it's just a great tool. I definitely recommend for people just to kind of sometimes to just stick to your guns and see if you can kind of wring out a lot of melodic material out of a very little. It's like a really cool technique sometimes. Even though you have all the stuff laid out, it's just nice to kind of limit yourself sometimes.
Yes, I think limitations, that's kind of the main way that I approach practicing. So I'm an improviser, that's what I like to do.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and so that's the fun thing for me. And, I just take the gigs that are fun.
Yeah.
I'm at that point, that's what I do. I hang out and make content, and so my life is like, okay, is it going to be a fun gig that I can improvise and have a good time on? So when I work on the things that I work on, I basically am mostly working on improvising. And so my entire approach to practicing improv is based on constraints. Yep. Sometimes it might be, hey, I'm trying to practice and work this thing out, but I'm going to only allow myself to play a certain rhythm, like only quarter notes, or eighth notes, or triplets, or sixteenths, or a certain rhythm like that's a combo of those things, like eighth, quarter, triplet, quarter, something like that,
right,
where I
to
take
keep it.
Yeah, those constraints forcing me into a box that I have to then therefore try and make as much music out of that box. And I don't mean a scale box, I mean a compartmentalized idea.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. That's really That's really cool. So for your, speaking of boxes, right? For your mandolin, and rest in peace, Dicky Betts. Like, what a he was a seminal player, and I got really lucky because some of my best friends are great, like Matt, the great keyboardist Matt Ziner, who I get to play with quite frequently, and is a Dicky Betts Great Southern alum. And there's a lot of, shout out to Connecticut, there's a lot of great Connecticut players I get the opportunity to play with that are all toured with Dickie when they were young, and I mean, what an impact, what an amazing influence he's had on so many people. He's going to be really missed. But going back to the mandolin, this pentatonic scale, if we just look at it in a box, this whole world lives in one octave between your first finger and your pinky, right? So we have our E. And so on a normal mandolin, you just go to your D string, play your E. Now we're just going to go up 2, 4, 6, 7. So it's just the top notes of a major scale. And then we just drop our first finger to the 2nd fret of the A string to the B natural. And then we have our C sharp with our 2nd finger on the 4th fret. So we have the 2, 4 on both strings. So this kind of creates a little box. And then we have our octave with our pinky. So we don't even have to shift our hands if we want to do this scale. We can just keep it right there. Now, we have this octave just sitting there, so we can, before we get to that octave, we can visualize where it is on the 7th fret, and we can shift with our first finger, and that creates this whole shape again. Using your first finger on the root E, going up a whole step, up another whole step and a half step, so you construct the first quadrant of a major scale. Then we go to the 7th fret with the first finger, 9th fret with the 2nd, and then pinky on the 12th fret. So now we have basically this really simple 2-octave way to get around this scale. Of course, there's a lot of other ways to navigate this, but I kind of like this linear fashion that you can sort of use, and it sounds great on an acoustic mandolin too, because you have this really beautiful tremolo note that you can use on the octave of the E up there on the 12th, which will sound good on your acoustic. So this is a really fun. It's just a beautiful. Very easy to navigate shape, and you don't even need to shift up, but if you wanted to get up into some notes, and then of course we have all of those things that you were talking about. We can try to get some of those little box pull-off things that Dickie's doing, and you can try to create those bounces, those kind of bouncy, that magic out of those two shapes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. That's actually like a big part of my playing, is like to kind of like sing an entire pentatonic scale on just 2 strings. So like, even though I talked about the box and I've heard him doing that, my go-to is more like the
totally, yeah.
Right, which is kind of like what I call the diagonal pentatonic, which is really neat. You just find your E, and if you want to play a major pentatonic, you just play 2 whole steps up. So it's like, I call it a 3-note set.
Right.
And then on the next string, you would just have 2 notes always. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and that literally works everywhere on the fretboard. And the only thing you would have to pay attention to is, because the guitar's tuning, the B string gets a little wacky. So you have 3,
right. That's what
2, yeah. 3. Watch out for the B. You got to shift up a fret. 2, 3. But I hear like that's in that. I guess that's Blue Sky.
Right. You got to see it right there.
Yeah, and that's how I play the guitar mostly. Like, you can do it down here. Shameless plug, I actually have a whole course on the diagonal pentatonic.
Oh yeah, I gotta check it out. Yeah, absolutely. That's great, and that's the kind of thing too that that I love teaching my students is like, so we've created this little box, but we can go up on 1 string, and we can start getting into some other Allman Brothers kind of vibes.
Yeah,
right? Like
single stringy kind of stuff is so
moving up, right?
Yeah.
It's nice to sort of be able to see, but we can go single string on these things. really create some cool music. So that's the kind of thing I like to get into once you can hear and kind of internalize these notes in a simple 1-octave pattern.
For sure.
Should we take it out with a little bit more of this one?
Sure.
All right, thanks for watching, y'all, and thanks for taking the time to do this with me.
Yeah, man.
That's so much fun.
Thank you.